Good Friday evening, everybody. How the hell are you? I'm Manny Vicelli, host of My Fight Our War, and we have a special edition of My Fight Our War tonight. As you guys know, we usually do our shows every Monday live, and but with the increase of the people of the family that's growing here and the stories that needed to be heard, especially with our special guest today, Matt Traver. Not to be confused with Matt Traver, OG, Matt Traver.
My apologies.
Who is just an awesome dude, man. Just getting to know him in the green room. But right off the bat, we both have a fellow brother in common, Skylar Ray. So it just shows you the people that we reach in this lovely recovery world of ours. So we're going to be joined by Matt here shortly. But as you guys know, we can't start this show without OG, without Thing. So without further ado, bam, there you go.
Hi, everybody.
OG's in the house.
Well,
It just doesn't.
There you go.
Yeah,
There's
there you
Thing.
go.
Okay.
I mean, the whole nice thing,
It just doesn't fit.
it just doesn't do
Yeah,
it. And then you
yeah.
just move the whole set.
Good evening.
Okay. OG, you got anything before we get going here?
Now you can put me in the green room. I'll start taking notes. As
All right. All right, we're going in the green with OG.
Okay.
And Matt Traver is in the house.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for allowing me to come on. It's and allowing me to share my testimony, my short story, my journey to it. It's been a while, so if I get tripped up on my words, I'm a little rusty. So bear with me. It's
You are on the right show.
yeah.
Because I tell you what, man, that's why I love doing this shit, and I love doing it live because we obviously with what we do, dealing with recovery or addiction and recovery, which is extremely serious, man. We have a lot of fun, and no one screws up more than I do. So welcome to the shit show.
Yeah.
But seriously, man, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, we got our mutual brother Skylar Ray, who speaks so highly about you, and we both know Skylar Ray.
Good energy.
Yeah, but man, we were chit chatting a little bit in the green room, and man, he definitely got a story, and people don't realize, man, who don't do this and kind of just watch from a distance, who thank God by the grace of God aren't personally involved with addiction, or it's the few that aren't in that whole, like I've had people say, I don't have anyone that I know, but talking about something like this is, it's tough, man. I mean, we're talking about extremely personal, painful stories, and like people like yourself and all of our guests who come on and they do it to share their stories, to one, help themselves, to cleanse, and then not only that, but to to help others. So again, thank you so much, Matt.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, but let's get this thing started, man, because we got a lot to cover, man. Why don't we just start off by, man, where you're from and get some of your background, and then we'll get going.
Yeah, I live in a place called Johnstown, Pennsylvania. It's like 45 minutes to an hour east of Pittsburgh, maybe more. I'm not too familiar with the terrain as of yet, but the last 10 years before that, I was in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and that's where my addiction was at its worst, but that's also where I found recovery, dude. And it's just like, and I and before I moved to Green Bay, like I was telling you backstage, I was in this little town outside of Madison where I got charged with the first fully functioning meth lab, and they tried to lay me down, but by the grace of God and some technicality and some crooked cops, I got a year in county jail as opposed to 18 years in prison. And then once I was done, with my probation, I was either going to move to Green Bay or I was going to move to Miami, and that's like God doing for me what I can't do for myself, because who in their right mind decides to go to the Arctic vortex of Green Bay over the beautiful beaches of Miami? But something told me, man, just go to Green Bay. I had a friend of mine, that I grew up with, and he kind of lived the same life I did, and he was up there. He bought a house, he had a car, he was doing all the right things. He had money all the time, and I'm like, no, I'll come check out Green Bay. And it was like, at the time, it was the worst decision I ever made, but like now that I look back, it was the best decision I ever made, because if I would have been anywhere else, especially the sunny beaches of Florida, I'd probably be dead, or I would have, been in prison forever. So,
man, I tell you, things that happen that we look at that can't figure out, well, why did this happen? why did this door close and this one open when you think in your mind it should be the other way around?
That's right.
And it's just like, man, like you said, the best decision that ever happened. And all of our stories, I tell you, I had people on and we were talking about addiction and talk about people that, are dealing with it. And we go back to like when it started. And so for you, I mean, how old were you? And when you started with the journey towards addiction, when this started, how old were you?
And that's kind of like a tricky question for me because like when like most of our addiction, it's rooted in trauma, right? And like when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, I lived in this little town in Wisconsin. Like it's right on the state line of Illinois. And like I had this core group of friends and we were like the kids from Stand By Me, you know what I mean? Like 80s, small town USA. And we all hung out every day. We played kickball, baseball, all the things, played in the creek, grabbing crawfish, frogs and shit. And it was the kind of town where the streetlights came on. That's when you came home. You know what I mean? And my mom was working a lot of jobs, so she wasn't home. So like there was an older guy that hung out with us. He was like 12, 13. And he's like, hey, come with me. I want to show you something. And we went behind his house and he put a knife to my neck, dude. And he goes, "Ooh. You're going to let me do what I want to you or I'm going to stab you." And then I thought he was kidding. And then there was this flash of this moment that I realized he wasn't. And then I'm not going to get too graphic with it, but you can use your imagination, and after that moment, bro, the innocence of my childhood was snatched from me. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't go outside. I became very like shut in, where I didn't go outside, I didn't talk a lot about, to a lot of people. I would talk to my friends here and there, but and that's where my addiction first manifested itself because I had suffered this trauma. So I started overeating. And by the time I was 10 years old, I would say I was well over 200, put closer to 300 pounds. I was, you know what I mean? And like, when you're like 9, 10, 11 years old, and my name's Matt, which rhymes with fat. So the nicknames, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I just had no self-esteem, no self-worth. And then I was dealing with this trauma I couldn't speak about, you know what I mean? So I just kept eating and eating and eating. And at the time, my mom, the most amazing woman on the planet, my mother, she was out of necessity dating an abusive alcoholic. And like one of the things I remember from my childhood is we didn't have a lot of money. And like, so if we got like, treats or cookies and stuff, it was like a big deal. And like, what like drumstick ice cream cones are, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She went to hand me one because it was like a big, she was able to, save the $2 or whatever it was. And the guy that she was dating came home and she went to hand me the drumstick and he knocked her out cold. And I just remember seeing my mom laying there holding the drumstick, like shaking. Cause she just got her, she's got sung a lullaby and shit. And I went from being like shut in and like scared all the time to that was the first time I felt anger and I really wanted to impose violence on somebody. You know what I mean? And my mom dealt with that for, a few years. And then she threw what she could in the car, man. And we just got out of Dodge, and she moved me to like Waukegan, Illinois. It's like a suburb of Chicago, kind of. It's, it's inner city, you know what I mean? A lot of gangs, it was totally different than what I was used to. And once again, not only am I'm the fat kid, I'm like the fat white kid. So once again, I'm isolated and I'm overeating and I made friends here and there, but I was always an outsider. You know what I mean? And then like I went to school there. I graduated junior high and like my mom didn't want me getting wrapped up in gangs and stuff. So she moved me back to Wisconsin. So my freshman year, and at this point I'm wearing like hoodies, big baggy pants, they called me a wigger, like, I don't know if you heard that term. And then the high school I went to, everybody had a big shiny belt buckle and yelled a lot of yeehaws in the hallway and shit. You know what I mean? So once again, I'm an outsider. I'm isolated. I'm getting picked on. I'm getting messed with. But that's when I found drugs, man. That's, you know what I mean? Because the great, social equalizer is drugs, and I started drinking. And when I started drinking, I could actually talk to people, that liquid courage. And then you know, and like my high school career, like every summer I tried something new. My freshman year, it was weed. You know, the next year it was acid. The following year it was mushrooms. And then my senior year, it was like ecstasy. And, you know, the natural progression of addiction, you know, and like every time I tried something new, it was the solution to all my problems, bro. It was what I was looking for my whole life. I'm like, this is it, man. This is the feeling I've been chasing. This is what I've been missing. And what it was doing was like just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. You feel me? Like,
Oh yeah.
because I, you know, and I still had all this unaddressed trauma, you know, and my mom wasn't really around. What's that?
Oh, so we got a little backbeat. You're good. You're good.
Oh,
I just had to
dude.
turn it down. No, you're good.
All right. And then, yeah. And then like my mom out of necessity was working a lot. So I never really saw her. And, you know, so she couldn't really keep tabs on me. You know, she did the best she could with what she had. But, you know, I was bound and determined to run wild, you know, and my dad, my real dad, he went to prison for selling cocaine. I didn't really know him, but, you know, I never met the man, but I started becoming a spitting image of him, you know, physically, characteristically, you know, but like it was because drugs and like, for the first time, like I felt like I had my power back. It gave me a voice. It gave me a purpose, you know, but, you know, I was like a teenager. I didn't know, but like I was popular, you know, the girls like me, you know, stuff like that, you know, and when you go from being like this insecure fat kid to the man, you know what I mean? It messes with you a little bit. And then, yeah, that's basically just like what my younger years were like. And I rolled around, it's Kenosha, Wisconsin, where all those riots happen in Wisconsin. Yeah, that's where I went to high school. And you know, like, and then I stayed there till I was like 20. And I remember one night, me and a buddy of mine were just driving around, and we were, you know, we were under the influence or whatever. And I looked at him. I'm like, man, I really wish there was some girls around. And I swear to God, as soon as I said that, I look over, and this girl's knocking on my window. And you know, long story short, this lady would eventually become the mother of my son. You know, we started dating, and you know, and then she wanted to go to school in Minnesota. And, you know, I was selling a lot of drugs or whatever, but like I found out she was pregnant. So I wanted to do the right thing. And so, you know, we stuck around. She graduated high school. We stuck around for a little bit for the summer, but I think by the middle of July in 2000, we moved to Minnesota. And I stopped doing all the drugs. I mean, I smoked a little weed here and there and I had a beer, but like all the hardcore drugs went to the wayside. I got a good job, you know, my son was on the way, you know, and like for the first time in my entire life, dude, I felt like a grown man. I was paying our bills, you know, I had a son coming, she was in school, you know, we were about to live the American dream. And, you know, and a lot of people, bro, they wonder like where things went wrong, like what fork in the road they went the wrong way at. And I can tell you exactly the moment if I shut my eyes, I can remember it like it's yesterday. My son was born and I was so proud, dude. I was doing everything right. Well, I found out that she was like cheating on me. Right. And I tried to make it work. I tried to like forgive her. So, but I couldn't, you know, like once that trust is broken, you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to like go back from that, especially when you're young, you don't know stuff about life. So Christmas Eve, dude, December 23rd, 2001. You know, this was after September 11th, and we were dealing with all the anxiety of that. And her and my son packed up and went back to Kenosha. And then they left, and I was already like emotionally devastated. And my son at the time was teething, and we gave him like little mini pickles from the fridge for like his gums. And like they were gone, and I'm already crying and shit. And I started moving stuff around, trying to pick up garbage and, you know, tape and boxes. And I kept finding them little pickles because he'd like throw them. And dude, that fucking dude, it broke me. You know what I mean? I didn't want to feel a fucking thing, dude. So I called a guy that I knew from work that I knew partied and shit. And he came over and we started doing cocaine. It was the first time I had done cocaine in a long time, dude. And it was like, weirdly, it made things worse, you know, because I was over emotional and, you know, but like it helped a little bit, I suppose. And then, you know, we look out the window and the sun starts coming up and he's like, all right, man, well, I'm going to get out of here. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, bro, it's Christmas Eve. I'm going to go be with my family. And I was like, oh, you know, and I was like, damn, dude, it's right. It's Christmas Eve. And I'm looking at like this tree with no ornaments, no presents under it. And the heater was out. So it was just like a sad scene. And I'm like, bro, you got to give me something, He's like, well, I don't have any more cocaine, but I got this. And it was methamphetamine. And so I did the methamphetamine, dude. And he went home and there was no more pickles. There was no more garbage. I cleaned the shit out of my house. You know what I mean? I felt amazing. You know what I mean? All my problems went to the wayside. And I stayed up Christmas Eve and Christmas. And then I finally fell asleep. And I woke up on December 26th and I had to go to work. And I just remember like, it felt like my soul got sucked out of me. You know what I mean? And I would do that. And then like the reality of like being alone in that apartment, I didn't know anybody. And I was working at the post office at the airport at the time. And this was after September 11th. And like, do you remember like when they were worried about anthrax?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, like OxyClean, you know, the cleaning stuff, it was manufactured 20 miles north of the city. And I worked at a sorting facility. So we throw packages on these sorting belts and they would bust open. There'd be white powder. So they would shut the post office down and quarantine us. You know what I mean? And it was always OxyClean, but like the anxiety and panic. And plus I wasn't partying. So I couldn't cope. It was too much. I'm like, I quit. And so I'm like, what am I going to do for work? So I decided that I'm going to go work security at a strip club. And yeah, I mean, we're all grown. We know what goes on there. So you can imagine how my life went after that, you know? And then I started hanging out with the girls and I started, you know, like hanging out with like criminals, you know what I mean? Just like living in the fast lane. And I was back to doing cocaine every day. And then like one day, the guy I was getting my stuff from, he's like, my cocaine guy got cut off. He's like, I got this. And he gave me meth, dude. And then after that, I did meth every day until I was homeless. I lost my job. I lost my car. I got an OWI. That was the first time I was ever really in trouble. And then I got sentenced to 90 days in jail and then probation. The 90 days was suspended if as long as I complied. Well, I went in, you know, my first meeting with my PO, I don't think I blinked the entire time I was there. You know, I'm just sitting there talking to her. She's like, and she dropped me and I told her I was dirty. And she's like, don't come back in here like this or I'm going to lock you up. I'm like, all right, you have my word. I never went and saw her again. You know, like I just went on the run. And so I was on the run for like 6 to 9 months. And in that time, my godfather, he was visiting the Mall of America. He knew I was up there. So he hit me up and he could just tell, the black eyes and and I was like 140 pounds. And he's like, listen, man, if you ever want to get out of here, dude, like you can come stay with us. Something tells me you're not doing so hot, but he didn't force the issue. And then I got picked up on my PO hold and I sat like 30 days and I just remember I had my godfather's phone number, dude. So I called him. We did an interstate compact, right? Where you transfer your probation in between states. And they denied it the first time. And then my grandpa, he because you got to have a family member sponsor you. My godfather wasn't my family by blood or whatever. So my grandpa went to Madison, said he would sponsor me. They approved it. And I'm packing my suitcase and I'm getting ready to catch the Greyhound back home. And I get a phone call. And like, you got to understand, man, my grandpa was my only male role model in my whole life that was worth a damn. You know what I mean? Like, he taught me how to shoot hoops. He taught me how to box. You know what I mean? He was like, he raised 9 children. He was a stand-up dude, and I get a phone call. And keep in mind, my grandpa just, went to Madison on my behalf. I got a phone call that he passed away.
Oh, my God, dude.
And like, dude, and I told myself all these promises. I'm like, dude, I'm going to do good. The last thing grandpa did was try to get you out of state. And, and I was doing real good. I was living with my godfather. I was helping him with his business. We co-owned a pressure washing business and, I was doing real well. I got my license back. I reconnected with my son after 3 years. And then I just got bored, and and where I went to high school was like about an hour away. So I called a buddy of mine and, he came and got me and we went back to our stomping grounds and we went to this little dive bar and I walked in and there was like people doing cocaine off the bar, like it was just one of them seedy joint. And, what do you think I did? I started doing cocaine off the bar. And then before you know it, I'm on probation in another state, transferred from Minnesota. Now I'm doing and selling cocaine. And, while I have my son with me, so I learned nothing. I'm being the worst father on earth. And then, yeah. And then eventually, like, all that caught up to me. I got sent back to Minnesota on my PO hold. They made me sit my time. I got out of jail the day that Obama got elected president. And I remember this is before everyone had a cell phone. So I'm walking around on election day asking people to use their phone. I got my jail bag and shit, and no one wants to help me because, clearly I'm just got out of jail, but whatever. So but long story short, I made my way back to Wisconsin, but I just reconnected with all my old people and it got out of hand. And I started dating this girl. She was significantly younger than me. Like, I was 30, she was 20. It was just, and it is what it was. She was like my little party girl and stuff. And, we were together a long time. And then through all of that, because I wasn't on paper anymore. So, like, once I had no restrictions, I was off the chain, dude. And and then I met this guy from Vegas, and that's where my meth lab came into play, because I knew how to cook dope from Minnesota, and so did he. So we put our genius minds together and made like the super dope, and we flooded this little town. It's called Fort Atkinson with crystal meth, dude. Like, it wasn't there before we were there, and everybody everybody ran out of money, so they started trading us like stolen stuff. Like my second bedroom in my apartment looked like a Best Buy warehouse, dude. And then we got someone told on us that we were cooking dope, and people talk about street cred and shit. I don't know anyone else this has ever happened to, but we got our search warrants served by dudes with automatic weapons and hazmat suits.
Whoa.
Dude, when they kicked the door in, bro, I started crying like a dude. I was like, oh, we're so fucked. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, dude. And then I was sitting there, and like I said, like I was telling you before, my first offer was 18 years in, 18 years out, dude. And I almost went in my cell and hung myself, dude. And then, like, the lady who was doing my fingerprints was like, calm down. They always try to scare you, and then, the police that handled the investigation got jammed up on some, crooked cop shit. So all the evidence they had against me was thrown out, except for me buying my own Sudafed. And so I did my year, or I got sentenced to a year, which in county is 9 months. I got a job, being like a jail janitor. So it was like 5 months and a week or something. But I was still on paper, but I learned nothing. You know what I mean? I just thought I was like this really smart criminal. Like, I'm like, man, I'm really good at this. They can't touch me. I'm John Gotti and shit.
So, man, you're thinking, I get it, so it's like what you thought was the best thing in the world happening to you was fucking the worst thing.
Yeah.
In the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, man. And, dang it. Yeah. And then I just, and so I got out, and, and that's where I found opiates, dude, because like all the uppers, like I did coke and meth my whole life. And I'm like, well, I got in trouble by doing uppers. So maybe if I do these downers, my life will go in a different direction and shit, and then,
down.
Yeah,
Holy.
Yeah, the things we tell ourselves, the rationalization, and I just, man. And I just, I was on probation. I got out, and I was able to like shuck and jive my PO at the time for a little bit, but eventually it caught up to me. And so they gave me an alternative to revocation, an ATR. And they sent me to this place in Milwaukee called MSDF. It's Milwaukee Secure Detention Facility. It's a jail. It's a prison in downtown Milwaukee, but they can't call it a prison. It's a jail. And, I participated in this program called Thinking for a Change. And I faked it just to get through it, and like I was telling you before we jumped on here, that the whole time I was like, I'm going to be so high when I get out of here, dude. And so I got out, I went to Rockford, Illinois, which if you know anything about Rockford, Illinois, there's a lot of dope there, dude. And I did a line of heroin. It didn't do anything. So the day after I got out of my treatment center was the first day I shot up. And after that, dude,
the day after your treatment center, was the first time you shot up. The day,
after. Dude, because the mental obsession of getting high and it didn't have the bang for my buck, and I was so angry, dude. So my buddy's like, "Here, just try this one time," and he handed me a loaded rig. I didn't know what I was doing, so he hit me, and I just remember the feeling that happened. It was what I was looking for my whole life. Like, it made everything beautiful. Like, you ever seen Talladega Nights, where he thinks he's on fire, Yeah, well, that happened. Like I was smoking a cigarette, but in my mind, I thought I dropped my cigarette on myself and lit myself on fire. So I'm in a room full of people shooting up, and I stand up and I start twirling around. I'm like, I'm on fire, and everybody's like, no, bro, you're not. I'm like, holy shit, this stuff is amazing, dude. You know, and based on the story I just told you, that became everything I cared about. That was the only thing I cared about, dude. Heroin through a needle every day, all day. And then I started eventually like running out of money. You know, like there's an old expression, monkeys can't sell bananas. Yeah, I was a monkey trying to sell bananas, dude. And I wound up eating all my bananas. So I had to steal other people's bananas and shit. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and I remember the first time I ever got dope sick because I didn't not have dope for almost 2 years. And the first time I had to go without it, dude, just the sickness, you know, and like when we first start partying and stuff, we have like these lists of things we say we're never going to do. But in reality, bro, it's a list of things we're eventually going to do, you know, and I started checking off that list. And, you know, so I started doing more, you know, stealing gift cards, all the little hustles that most people that, you know, don't work, you know, it just became part of my daily routine, you know, and then I completed probation somehow. And I just remember because I was robbing people and ripping everybody off. I saw a friend in Green Bay and he seemed like he was doing all right. And he kind of had a similar background as myself. And he, yeah, he just, so I went because I was either going to go to Florida or I was going to go to Green Bay, and some told me to go to Green Bay, so I did. And I was still doing heroin, but I was able to stop for a little bit, you know, because I needed to get a job, and you know, like I thought I put it in the rear view, so I got a good job, you know, my own place. You know, I was working on a lot of things. I was about to get custody of my son. You know, I was doing pretty good, and then like me and the girl I was with at the time, like, man, we're doing really good. We should celebrate. So we went to Milwaukee and
Mhm.
yeah, we went to Milwaukee and then we went to Milwaukee the next day and the next day and the next, you know, you get what I'm saying.
I got you.
And then within about 2 weeks of doing that, I lost my job, but I had a real good connect in Milwaukee, and like what you pay for in Milwaukee and what you can sell it for in Green Bay is like, you know, like it's like triple the amount. So for a long time, I was just a drug dealer, and I had dope, as much dope as I could do, all the money I could do. The lady that gave me that place eventually evicted us. So I started having to live at like Motel 6s and things like that. The cops started paying attention to me a lot more. And, you know, like I started racking up all these little misdemeanor charges, like, you know, shoplifting, retail theft, bail jumping, you know what I mean? But by the time they finally caught up to me, and this was like my rock bottom, and this is the moment that like changed my life for the better. There was a casino in Green Bay. We always used to get tweaked and go there. And at this point, I'm doing meth and heroin every day through a needle. You know what I mean? Every day, all day. There was a the last thing I remember is being at the casino. I woke up to a sharp pain in my shin. And then there was a strobe light, and I was in a dark ass room, and I hear, "Are you alive?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why are you kicking me, bro?" And it was three cops. I had wandered into the basement storage unit of an apartment building, and some lady saw me laying there. She thought I was dead. And so they picked me up. I had a bunch of warrants, and they found a bunch of stolen stuff in my book bag. And then I had, you know, some dirty needles and 4 prescription pills. They were Dilaudids. And so they took me to jail. They didn't give me any bail. And their first offer was 6 years in, 6 years out. And I'm like, for 4 pills and some needles? They're like, dude, you had a meth lab, you know, all kinds of shit. Nah, bro, you're like a habitual offender. You know, so I'm sitting there, I'm like trying to figure out how to get out of prison. I had a lawyer come through, and he's like, "Have you ever heard of treatment court or drug court?" I'm like, "Nah, man, what's that?" And he's like, "It's a program, you know, they'll let you out." And that's all I heard. "You let me out? Sign me up, dude," you know? And the judge must have known that, because the first time I got denied, you know? So I like, you know, when we're in active addiction or our livelihood is getting high, we can adapt and, you know, learn how to manipulate the system. So I went back in front of him. I convinced them to accept me into the program. They released me from Green Bay, but I had warrants in other counties. So I kind of bounced around the state of Wisconsin for like retail theft, fines that I didn't pay, little stuff. And then one day I was in Janesville, Wisconsin, which is right on the state line in Illinois, and they just let me out. I thought Brown County was going to come get me. Green Bay was going to go. No, they didn't. They just let me out. So I
Wow.
jumped on a bus, went back to Green Bay. I'm like, and by the time I got there, it was nighttime. And I went to the casino because I didn't know where anybody was, but I knew that's where everybody would be. And I run into these girls I knew, and then they brought me into a hotel room, and a buddy of mine that I was locked up with while I got sentenced to drug court, he was in a hotel room. And I mean, you walked in the room, there was meth on every table. Like I'm talking like pounds and pounds of the shit. And he goes, welcome home. And he throws me like 2 ounces of meth. And I already got a needle loaded and I'm about to push off. And he goes, hey, weren't you supposed to go to treatment court or some shit? I'm like, not anymore, and like, dude, it was, and then I went on the run for 2 months again. And then they finally caught up to me because I got a DUI. I was under the influence of meth, heroin, and Xanax. I don't even remember taking the Xanax, but because I didn't start the program, they couldn't terminate me from it. So I got a huge blessing, dude. And yeah. And then like, so I started, going to the program. I found a little job but I wasn't really working a program. I was doing just enough to get, like the bare minimum. And like we're addicts, bro. We suck at moderation. We can't half-ass anything, dude. And like, about 41 days, 42 days in, it was January 2nd, 2018. And I was living with this girl at the time, and she was beating the hell out of me, bro. Like she was like whooping me, like putting hands on me, dude. Like to the point where my probation officer was handing me like domestic violence pamphlets and shit.
Wow.
And I was real proud of myself because I had 40 days clean. That was the first time I had 40 days clean since I was a teenager. But I was tired of getting smacked and shit. So I was like, January 2nd, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to prison. I can't deal with this no more, but I'm not going to be sober. So I went and scored some dope and, like I was supposed to go to my counseling session the next morning. And I was so out of my mind that like I pulled over to call my counselor and tell her I was sick or whatever. I didn't realize that I was in the parking lot of the treatment center and she could see me out the window. And she's like, bro, I'm looking at you in my parking lot, dude. You're not at home sick. You're in your car looking at me all bug-eyed and shit. So I drove away. My PO's calling me. I'm like a block away. She's like, I need you to come in right now. I'm like, I'm not coming in today, but I'll come in tomorrow. I'm like, I'm not sitting in a little box right now, but I promise I'll be there tomorrow. And so I went to my weekly court appointment. I owned up to my shit. I told them I relapsed. I told them what was going on. And they threw me in jail for a week, as a sanction. And for some reason, bro, I mean, I've done probably 5 years collectively in jail, but for some reason, because like I was giving my mom hope, my son hope, everybody that cared about me, they're like, oh my God, he might do it. And I let him down. And the guilt and the shame of that week was the longest jail sentence I ever did. And they were going to put me on the GPS bracelet. And the day before they let me out, they put my bracelet on my foot, because I had to be on ankle monitoring because I was a runner. And that guy that was that gave me it was in the hotel room that gave me all that meth. He passed me in the hallway and he goes, hey man, they just laid me down for 20 years, bro. And I set up my plug. He's like, stop doing what you're doing. Right. I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. Well, we went back to our units and all of a sudden the CO starts screaming. They're like, everybody locked down, everybody locked down. And then we woke up the next morning for breakfast, but we were still in our cells. And I'm like, yo, CO, what's going on, man? And the guy that I saw in the hallway, his name was Chris McConney. They're like, McConney over in Alpha hung himself.
Oh.
And then dude, it was like I got kicked in the nuts and punched in the stomach, dude. I'm like, was I the last person he said anything to? Was him telling me to quit fucking around? And I'm looking, how jail has that smell. I don't know if you've ever been to jail, but like it has that smell. Everyone's got their tall tales about what a kingpin they were on the streets. I'm looking at my tray, my little raggedy ass breakfast tray. And in that moment, dude, I was like, my story, this is not how Matt Traver's story ends, dude. You know what I mean? Like I got out, I went to my first meeting and I just remember like this overwhelming guilt and the shame and the fact that I had to face people that like had hope and faith in me, and I let them down. And I just wanted to go use dope again. And I was like literally texting somebody in a 9A meeting. And this lady I never met, I've seen her around, but she must have saw what I was doing or had a hunch. And I went to get up and go meet my guy. And she's like, sit down. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And she, after the meeting, she's like, what happened? I haven't seen you around, And I'm like, I told her, I'm like, I relapsed, and she's like, come here. And she gave me a hug, dude. And like that lady hugging me in that moment, dude, saved my life, dude. She, her name's Cassie Van Vel, dude. Like like talk about this all the time. Her hugging me in that moment, in my weakest moment, she showed me that I was worth something, that I had value and I deserved better. And I didn't know that for a long ass time, dude. I talk, you know what I mean? But I needed that hug. That hug saved my life, dude. And like after that, dude, I was all in. I got out of my abusive relationship. I moved into sober living, and I resisted it for so long, dude, because I felt, like halfway house has got that nasty stigma. I felt like it was a step down, but for me, it was the step I needed. And I had like real camaraderie, like a real brotherhood, like a real family. You know what I mean? Like I was in a house full of dudes that gave a shit about me. We could talk about stuff, and like, just like be real, decent, normal people for once. And, so I was living at sober living. I'm killing it in drug court. I'm just, I'm doing real good, and I'm just, I become president of sober living, and I'm doing all the right things. I got a better job, and I got my license, and I got a car, and I just had all this momentum. And, and I moved out of sober living the week before I graduated drug court. And, I was waiting for my parents to bring my furniture and shit. So I'm in this big empty apartment, and it was so foreign to me. And I was so freaked out because like I went from jail to my girl and her kids to a house full of dudes in sober living. And now I'm in this empty apartment with no furniture. It felt like I was waiting on dope, and once again, that the old, I'm going to celebrate. I deserve this. But like I looked outside and I saw my car, and I'm in my apartment, and like, I'm like, dude, this is the first time in your adult life that you've had your own place. This is the first time in your adult life you have your own car. This is the first time in your adult life you've had a job for more than a year. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, man. So I went back to sober living and I slept on the couch, but like my friends are like, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm scared. Like,
man, I tell you what, Matt, you just, you know how I told you I don't like to get the whole story and all that shit before the show because I want the shock and awe stuff.
yeah.
I mean, I swear to God, just as you see, I've been like this.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you start talking about this comeback, I'm like, all right, here we go. And
Yeah.
as soon as you went into, well, it's all alone, and I was like, son of a bitch. And
Yeah.
thank you for that. But hey, the story ain't over, man. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No. Yeah, man. So, I found an even better job, like right as the pandemic was like at its peak power. Like they even told me, they're like, we just need bodies. Otherwise you wouldn't even be allowed in the building with your record. I'm like, whatever, man, I'm hired. Right. And, and then January 1st to New Year's Eve of 2019. Yeah, 2019 going into 2020. I went to an NA function in this little ass town. And once again, this is like God, you know what I mean? Because like this little town, and the town was flooded and all the flooding was frozen. So there was one road you could take to get to this event. But I'm like, screw it, let's go. And I met, and like, I'm sitting there and I'm playing spades with people, and I look up and I see this dude, he's like 7 feet tall, and he walks in, and I'm like, I know that look, he's new, you know what I mean? And I'm like, and he had a Vikings jersey on. I'm from Minnesota. So I'm like, what you doing with that Vikings jersey on, bro? And he's like, yeah, this is weird. Everyone's nice to me. I don't like it. I'm like, yeah, dude, welcome to recovery, man, And then I'm like, listen, dude, I've been where you're at. His name was David John Peters. He became my best friend. He came to my 2 years, which was January 4th, right after the function. And after that, dude, that was my brother, bro. And then like March 30th, 2020, he relapsed. And he's a big guy, you know what I mean? He was all twacked out on meth. And I remember I went to because he called me, he was freaking out. He's like, dude, I don't trust nobody. I need you to come over here and help me out. I'm like, all right, bro, I'm on my way. And I knock on the door, and keep in mind, he's 7 feet tall. He's got and he's got these big ass eyes, and he's got a screwdriver and a hammer, you know, because he's bugged out. And I'm like, bro, listen, I'll come in, bro, but if I want to leave, please let me leave. He's like, why would I keep you here? I'm like, because you're high as a kite and you're scaring me, you know. And he's like, dude, you're the only person I trust you, bro. I would never hurt you. I'm like, all right. And then I walk inside, and his TV's ripped in half, all of his electronics, you know, because he thought he's being bugged and shit. And like he was telling me that his text messages were getting intercepted. You know, he's like, dude, I only got half a message. I'm like, check your text message, bro, because he was on Messenger. And he's like, how did you know that that's what I was doing? I'm like, because I've been there, dude. You know what I mean? I've lost conversations thinking I was being monitored and hacked and all this shit. And I helped him rewire what I could. You know, it was like 1, 2 in the morning. And I'm like, bro, you going to be good? He's like, yeah, man, thanks for coming. He gave me a hug, dude. And I'm like, so what are you going to do, man? You going to go get your white chip? He's like, he goes, fuck all that, dude. I don't want to give those people something to talk about. They're just going to judge me. I'm like, so what are you going to do? He's like, I don't know. I'll think of something. He's like, I'm going to go in my room and pray. I'm like, all right, man, I'll text you when I get home. And so I talk to him. He says good night or whatever. And I go to work the next day. And as you can see in my bio, it says NGULU Inc.
Mhm.
Right? My friend Dave started a Facebook group called Never Give Up. And he did it, you know, because he wanted to give people a safe, judgment-free zone to talk about their problems, their feelings, their fears. And the day he started it was April 1st, 2020. And if you remember, that was the day Trump or the country got locked down because of COVID. Like you couldn't go nowhere. So from that, like he came on the Facebook group, and I mean, we took off. We got like 5,000 members in like our first week. He told his story, and then I told mine, and then it started really taking shape. And he decided we were going to do a nonprofit for like sober living and prison reentry homes, because he was in prison. He never got his treatment needs addressed. They just threw him back in the street, and then he was back in jail within 6 days. And you know, we were meeting with like board members and county officials, and you know, but like COVID was really slowing us down, and we finally got like a board together, and we were doing real good. And like, you know, like everything was going the way according to plan. And then February 19th, 2021, I got a phone call that he died.
Oh man.
And like, yeah, dude, like, and because of like and that was the first time in a long time, dude, that I didn't want to be high, but I didn't want to feel shit. You know, like my best friend, dude, like this dude I went through all this stuff with
Now,
died.
did he OD? Did he relapse?
No, he had diabetes that he didn't manage from his years in prison. So he had like heart failure. I forget exactly what that, but you know, his heart gave out on him because he wasn't taking care of his body, you know. And dude, I just remember I just wanted to give up, dude, you know. And because of like the social media side of it, like I woke up and I went to go to the bathroom, and like my bathroom from my bedroom's about 10 feet away. And it took me 25 minutes because my phone kept dinging, you know, what happened? I'm like, I don't even know. And then, yeah. And I thought all was lost. I thought all the stuff we were doing together was like going to be lost. And his brother, Jason, who's like the CEO and the president now, took over, and we got back on track, and we became an official 501c3 in the state of Wisconsin. For those who don't know, that's a nonprofit. And we kind of like took a step back from the sober living and prison reentry homes, but we were giving money to other nonprofits. We were hosting Unity for the community events, things like that. And we're going to get back on track with the sober living and prison reentry. You know, just like so many things have moved, and it's so different now. But like, you know, and that became my life's work for a while, dude, was just being of service to others, because like I'm like one of those people that like I never want anyone to feel the way I felt when I was at my worst. You know what I mean? So if I can do something, you know, and I don't do anything for anybody, I'll stay, you know, because like you start acting like you do things for people, then you act like they owe you something, you know. So I don't do nothing for anybody, dude. You know, I just gave you some information, but it's and then I started like, and that's kind of what led me to Pennsylvania. Like, you know, with the Facebook following and all that stuff, I met the girl I'm with now, and she's an event planner. She has these events called Bridge the Gap. And I spoke in Indiana with, you know, a couple people, and like that on behalf of Never Give Up. And like, it's just, and my life's totally amazing today because of like this Never Give Up group and recovery. Like, and Skylar Ray is how I met Skylar, dude. Like I started,
Okay.
like my first role with Never Give Up was to find people to tell their stories. And, it really spoke to me because the first time, like I was telling you, when I first got sober, I would go to meetings and shit, but I wouldn't say nothing. Because I was worried I was the worst of the worst. And then like I went to a speaker meeting one night and I heard this dude and he did some wild shit, bro. I was like, dude, and he's up there smiling. He's like, he's in a suit. He's got his wife and kids, they got, they're living the dream. And I'm like, if this guy can do it, so can I.
I'm telling you, Matt, that is just, so many things that you've said. I mean, it hit home for people that have gone through what we have gone through. A few things that you said about, I don't ever want anyone to feel the way that I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I have said that many times. It is a hell that unless you've been in it, you can't. You can. People will say, I understand, or I'm trying to understand, or I think I understand. No, you don't understand.
Absolutely not.
The deepest, darkest tunnel of death, torture, hell that you can imagine 24/7. And it never ends. And as soon as you think it's starting to end, it gets worse. So I know what you mean there. And, I'm just like you, man, where I had nothing as far as social media, but you still got, I'd love to come on your show. I would love to tell my story.
Absolutely.
Because, the thing is, I was just like you, man, thinking, God, I can't talk about what I did. And then I started hearing these other stories. I'm like, well, shit, and it's just so true. And the non-judgmental and all that, that's the whole thing of it. That's why you're here at My Fight, Our War. That's what we do, man. You think that you've done it bad? Watch our next show.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
like that. But man, I feel you, man. Your story is just intense. From the minute you started talking, from your childhood, the chain of events that you just went through, and we're not done yet, man. But the just to kind of take a breath here and recap, that you have gone through, and sitting here, and the things that you are doing now is just incredible. And I am so freaking happy that you are on this show, because like I end all of our shows with keep fighting the good fight, and and that's what we do, and it's because of people like you. It's because of people like your brother who lost his life forming this with you. So, man, I tell you, I am so damn glad that Skylar reached out, that you reached out. So, man, I mean, let's keep going, man. We're, so now you're still, this is still going, and what's going on now? What's next?
Yeah, man, like I was telling you guys before, like, cause I just moved to Pennsylvania, and like, I found the love of my life, dude. You know what I mean? Like I'm so blessed to be with the most amazing woman on this planet, dude. And like, I moved to the East Coast from the Midwest. So I stepped down, I took a lesser role. Like I used to be the president of Never Give Up. Now I'm just a board member. And, I just, for the first time ever, I think I finally had that peace in my life that I was looking for. All the stuff that I was doing drugs with, like I finally have it. I my house isn't glorious, but dude, it's my house, bro. I got 3 bedrooms, and it's not about the material shit, but it's nice to earn things, you know what I mean? And say that I did that, and I don't, like, I'm on social media, but I kind of took a step back from that too, because again, I was focusing on my life here and now. You know what I mean? I'm always there for the people that are still suffering. Like if you need resources, or you need like a good group, or you need just someone to talk to, I'm that guy, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and but now I'm doing peer support, like, and I have another like blue collar job, but like, I wanted to get acclimated in the recovery community here. I found out they don't have drug court here, so I'm trying to work with like the coalition, the drug coalition out here, to like get the wheels in motion to establish drug court, because if it can save me, you know what I mean? Like if it can help me, bro, it can help anybody, and it's like the one thing about drug court is, like, I remember when I first started the program, my PO was like, you got to get a job. And I was self-employed for so long, dude. I was like, well, how do I do that? And she's like, well, places that hire people have pieces of paper and you write down your name. And I'm like, but you know what? She had explained to me like that because I forgot. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't pay taxes for 10 years. You know, I had all this. And like, so if it can help me just like reacclimate to society and like baby step back into society and being a functioning member of it, dude, then it can work for most people, dude, you know? And like, I almost turned it down because when I was in jail with a couple of people that got kicked out of the program, you know? And then as I met my PO, she's like, yeah, you know what that guy did and why he got kicked out and shit. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and, but like, you know, and it just like, and that lady I was telling you about, that gave me that hug, right? In that moment, bro, like between the stories and the testimonies of people who've done spiritually sick stuff, and it just takes one person, and it's usually a stranger, to believe in you, to show you that you are more, you are valued, you do deserve a life worth living, bro. You're not your past, bro. You got to take ownership of it, make amends with it, and, you know, never repeat it, you know? And like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's all I, yeah.
No, do not be, everything that you have said, you have hit, you know, we need you here at My Fight Our War too, man, because I tell you what, everything that your goals, your morals, everything that you just said is what our values here at My Fight Our War. We are, I mean, and that's what we stand for, man. And it's first and foremost taking care of yourself. And then it's not giving a shit what other people, no matter what it is. We will never let other people's negative words or comments affect our day. The only limits we have are the limits we put on ourselves.
Amen.
But you know, everything that you're saying is, I mean, it's My Fight Our War, and it's not only that; it's your foundation. It's Skylar Ray Recovery. I mean, it's and all the people, like you said. I always say it takes one person to change your life, and I always say be that one person. For me, it was Brad McLeod at Sober School and Dan and Donna from Hard Knocks.
Okay.
My Fight Our War, January 9th. It'll be 2 years for us. When I first started, I knew nothing. And I was so lucky. I went up to bat twice. I had 2 grand slams with Brad McLeod and Dan. I've been doing this podcast stuff for about not a year, and because I was so nervous, you always hear, if I would have known then what I know now.
Yeah.
Or I never, if you would told me that, public speaking, I would be nervous talking to like 2 friends if I had to stand up in front of people. And now you can't shut me up. Now, and we're doing lives in front of the freaking world.
Yeah.
And now we not only that, but we're telling personal stories that are so painful that our family and friends don't even know, and we're telling them to the world. And that is just the best feeling.
Absolutely.
And I am so freaking happy for you. And you can just see the journey that you just took us on. Matt was that was truly a blessing, and just your story of resilience and just strength and faith and courage and everything that is balled up into it is such a testimony of greatness. I'm honored to freaking know you, and you truly are a blessing, brother.
Yeah. You as well, man. Like, and like, that's one thing I heard this in a meeting somewhere. It's like, I used to like resent my adversity, but now I'm just like grateful for it because it developed me into the character I have today, and, yeah, dude, we all deserve better, and like, that's why I never give up, man. It was, the reason it's called Never Give Up, and I probably shouldn't say this or whatever, but it was the one inspirational thing on the Facebook borders. That's where he came up with it. But, and that's the beauty of Never Give Up, is because it was founded by a guy who was in his darkest hour, and he knew exactly what he needed to get well. So he tried to give that to other people, my guy, Dave, dude. And I believe he did that, bro. We got like, and it's not about the quantity of people, but the quality of people. You know what I mean? Like the testimonies I've heard, just the success stories that have come, like from people that were there since day one, and you see them like 4 years later, and they're usually working in some kind of recovery thing, being of service to others. And I've heard this a lot. Like, Dave, Dave was, we started watching him on Facebook, and he showed me I could get sober. I saw you on social media and, telling your story, and and people, especially in Green Bay, when I go to meetings, cause that's where I used to get that was my worst. And I would run into old using buddies when, in their first day back, and they'd be like, dude, you're out here sober, bro? I thought you were dead. And I'm like, no, man, I've been in these rooms, dude. They're like, well, if you can do it, bro. I'm like, I don't know if I'm like excited for you or offended by what you just said, but either way, if it helps you, it helps you, but, but yeah, man, because like, and that's one thing, like, because social media, bro, it's like super toxic in some regards. But like social media, dude, like when it's platforms like this, like being able to link up with people like yourself, 10 states away or 10 hours away or whatever, and just talk about recovery, bro. Because like, and it, when I love that because like, no matter where you're from Michigan, I'm from Minnesota, Wisconsin. Now I'm in Pennsylvania. Black, white, gay, straight, it doesn't matter, bro. Addiction does not discriminate, bro. Mental health does not discriminate, bro. And, as long as, and once you realize you're not the only one going through something, bro, it's that much easier to start talking about it, bro. Like I talked the first time I shared about my sexual abuse, this dude walked up to me crying. And I was like, "What? You all right?" He's like, "No, man. I'm so glad that you talked about that, dude, because it happened to me, dude." And and when, especially as a dude or a man, we can't talk. We were told for so long, especially the older folks like us. I'm 45. I don't know how old you are, but we came from a generation where you didn't talk about your feelings. Don't cry. You know what I mean? And, I'm just grateful that I'm not hindered by those stigmas and stereotypes, like it's okay to wear my heart on my sleeve. It's okay to talk about things, It's like when I go to job interviews or whatever, I used to dread when they'd be like, tell us about your felonies. But you know what I mean? I would just be like, listen, I tell them on the phone and shit. I'm like, listen, bro, you're going to look me up and you're not going to want to let me in the building. But I'm just going to tell you, bro, I'm not that dude anymore. That version of me is dead and buried, bro. And like, once I took ownership of my mistakes, bro, I was destined to never repeat them again. You feel me?
I think everybody that hears your voice is feeling you, brother. I tell you what, I know someone who is. Someone who is just means the world to me. My brother, Matt Cronin, who is our producer.
Yeah.
You want your ass in Connecticut. We got to get you in studio. I'm not kidding either.
All right.
I mean, we got to get you in studio, man. We got to work something out.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we'll talk after this and iron out the details. Like, yeah, now that I'm in Pennsylvania, like I keep like in my mind, I'm thinking I'm in Wisconsin, but you saying that, I'm like, how far away is that? But it can't be too far from here. But yeah, I'll definitely ride out, man.
I tell you what, I mean, the people you're going to meet, and the doors that are going to open for not only you as a person telling your freaking amazing story, besides all the help and all the support, is just opening up all the different avenues for your organization as well. Matt, I tell you what, I've been blessed to hear a lot of different stories, and they are all very amazing and unique in their own way. And not one's not better or worse. They're all so different, but they're all so much the same. Just like my fight, our war, our stories are different, but that damn addiction and recovery in the stories, in the evolution of everything that happens, as we know, I mean, I've got family, I've got brothers who are no longer here. And I feel by our doing what we are doing here, we keep their voices alive. It sounds like you're the same way with was it Dave, right?
Yes, sir.
With your guy, God bless Dave. And you know who else is that dude that hung himself in the cell? His final words were,
changed my life, saved my life.
And then not only that, but like I always say, man, be that one person. Be that one person. And that lady that gave you that hug, the one in jail, your friend Dave, man. And I've had so many one persons with Brad McLeod, with Dan Donna from Hard Knocks, with Locked In with Ian Bick, with Matt Cronin, with OG. I mean, that one person's just a phrase, because we've had many one persons, but your story, Matt, and what you're doing, you are going to help and continue to help so many people. And I'm not kidding about, you are 3 hours away from where our studio is.
Actually,
Just
5 hours and 30 minutes.
What?
5 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well,
looked it up.
now it's 5 hours and 30 minutes. Sorry.
From
But
Johnstown.
just to throw this out there, we are going to be in Connecticut December 13th, 14th, and 15th. And
then again, probably in February.
And if you could possibly make that, we are going to try to do 15 shows in 3 days. if you can make it, we will do 16. We will definitely make room for you
Absolutely.
to do that if that's something that you think you'll be able to swing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll have to look at my schedule. Like I got the 2 jobs, and I got to see what, with the holidays, they're always kind of a mess, but we'll
Oh, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
link up, bro. I'll show up eventually, bro. It's just, I'm not sure when, that's what I always tell. That's what I used to say when I was on dope. I'll show up eventually. I'm just not sure when, but now, now it translates to something totally different, something better, man. But yeah, no, I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely appreciative. I'm honored that you asked me to do it, and I'll definitely make the trip one point or another, man.
We will work it out. We will definitely
Absolutely.
work it out, man. Well, I tell you what, Matt Traver, this has
Where
been.
can we find him?
Yeah, well, I'm not done talking to him.
Oh.
Yeah, we're not. Well, we are just getting ready to wind up, man. But I just tell you, man,
Good story.
I hope you are as proud of yourself as all of us that just heard your story.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just incredible. Just incredible.
Thank you, sir.
I really do. I mean, we are so quick to, we've had our thumb down on ourselves. We had other people down because we deserved it, man. We did a lot of shit. We got to own it. And once we do that, and once we start helping, it's the best high in the world. There's no drug better. And
Amen, bro.
so again, I cannot thank you enough. Where can we all find you? Where can they follow you? What's the name of your organization? Go ahead and give a shout out.
Yeah, I got my personal page, Matthew Traver. I'm on Never Give Up, Level Up Inc., the Facebook page there. I have my own personal recovery page. It's called Here's to Another 24. And I always say that, like, when I'm done talking, I'm like, here's to another 24, everybody, because that's all we really can focus on is the 24 hours ahead. You know what I mean? And every day is a blessing. Like I was telling you before, like I kind of took some time away from all that. Like I post memes and stuff and things like that. But like, as far as doing the live videos, I kind of took a step back, just to focus on my life here and now with my girl and my new state. But we're going to get back to it, man. But yeah, you can follow me on any social media platform. I have an Instagram. It's called Woo Shoes. And that was for my, I used to be a shoe reseller. I'm a shoe reseller, and then I was taking some of the money that I would make, and I would give a pair of shoes to a needy kid once a month too. And that's where I'm at on Instagram, because like that was like the first time I ever had like swag, dude. Because my mom, like when I was telling you before, we didn't really have a lot, so my Aunt Sarah bought me my first pair of Jordans because I had like Payless shoes, and I just remember I could hold my head a little higher, dude. You know what I mean? I had a little more strut in my stuff and shit, and I just wanted to give a kid, that's working hard, may not come from the best means, the best background or whatever, just that feeling, even if it's for a little bit,
Oh man, I tell you, Matt, this has been amazing. I'm so glad we did this, and
Absolutely.
we're definitely gonna work something out for Connecticut here, and it's gonna be sooner than later, just so you know.
All right, bro. Looking forward to it, man.
We'll come and get your ass.
All right, bro. All right.
But again, you know what? Just one more time, just real quick. Why don't you give your stuff again in case someone missed that again? Because you got way too much information for people not to hear and follow. So you please follow, support Matt Traver. So just real quick, give another rundown.
Yeah, just my personal page, Matthew Traver. It's me in a red shirt, a Never Give Up shirt. The nonprofit page is called NGULU Inc. It's Never Give Up, Level Up Inc. And my own personal recovery page is called Here's to Another 24. And those are the 3 things that I focus on. I'm also an admin on my girls' fitness group. It's called Addicted to Active Recovery. And we have fitness challenges because that was one of the cornerstones of my recovery too, because I had all this aggression. And that's actually how we met. She asked me to help her with her fitness group because, she does coaching and personal training. And, like when I first moved into sober living, I was like 280 because they let me out the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I was like locked down for 14 months. And I was like, look at all these cakes and shit, so I put on like 30 pounds. And then like the girl I was with at the time, like December 15th, she's like, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, bigger underwear. This is a nightmare, dude, because I had gained so much weight, but yeah, like, sorry, I don't know if that's TMI or whatever, but you know what I mean? But like fitness really helped me, because if you're having a rough day, you can just go sweat it out. You know what I mean? And it gave me somewhere to go. instead of going to the trap. You know what I mean? And then like you start looking better, you start feeling better, you start healing better. You know what I mean?
I tell you, I love it. I've been training now for 35 years, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely
Yeah.
love it. And you nailed it, man. There's nothing. It's our other family. It's our gym rats that we call ourselves with the Breakfast Club in the morning. We're there every morning, the gym rats. And
Yeah, dude.
but this has been a great time, Matt. Just as I said before, I don't get a whole lot of info just because I like to shock and awe, just like the fans do. And brother, you gave it to us.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you so much for your sharing. Thank you so much for other people that you are helping, and God bless you, man. And this is just the beginning.
Amen,
So
brother.
we're going to be doing a lot of work together. So Matt Traver, thank you, brother. And we will be in touch. So
All right.
I will be getting a hold of you within the next few days. Trust
All
me.
right, man. Looking forward to it, man. Have a good night, guys.
All right, you
Good
take
night,
care,
Matt.
brother.
All right.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Woo, what a story.
Man, I tell you what, that was a hell of a show. That was a hell of a story. Matt Traver, this kind of blank look, as I hope you heard, a lot of times some hosts will get a whole backstory a little bit just to hear what's going on, just to make sure it's going to be a good show and what the backstory is. And for me, I just get very, very little. Because as this story goes on and you're hearing this stuff, I think it's pretty obvious with my, stare. It was like, what's next? And what's next? It was like watching a movie. And as he's telling me, I'm visualizing all these things that were going on. And just the strength and faith and courage that he just nailed that with. And the love and compassion and support that he has, along with the other people in his amazing organization, is just incredible. You know what, you guys, I'm sorry for the side, the comments here. I was not able to look. I apologize. Oh, geez, I saw she's been busting her ass answering questions. If there's anything, in particular for me or for.
No, actually, there wasn't.
Oh, thanks.
No questions, but
Thanks.
a lot of good comments.
Yeah. If anyone had anything for you, oh, no, man.
No,
Not
not for
shit
you,
about
man.
you.
Just for me.
But anything, at all, we will get back to you, obviously, all the time.
Yeah.
But that was an incredible show with an incredible person. Just like all of you guys with your stories, thank you. Thank you for being part of My Fight Our War. Thank you for your support and motivation for all of us, not only at My Fight Our War, but his organization as well. My brother Skylar Ray for hooking us up with Matt. Again, just incredible. So I hope you guys have a great night. I hope you have a great weekend, and really look up Matt Traver. Check him out, support him, show him some love as well. So until next time, you guys take care. Love you guys.
Good
Keep
night.
fighting a good fight.
Don't go anywhere. Matt wants to Cronin.